Peace everybody, it's Janaya. Thank you so much for watching this video, or rather just clicking on this video. But first things first, it's 2020. I mean, can you believe that it's already 2020? We are at the end of a decade, beginning a new one, and it's just blowing my mind right now because, I mean, it's freaking 2020. But yeah, besides all that, thank you so much for clicking on this video, and I am here with a book haul. I've collected a few books, okay, just a few over the past, say like month and a half, 2 months. Some of them I've already started reading or I've already read, but besides, you know, whatever, I'm just excited to share them with you because I do love books. So let's get into it. Alright, so the first book that I want to show you is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I picked up this book sometime in December, I believe. Basically, this book is about a young journalist who has been getting her experience through different ways, through like blogs and also through working at a magazine. And so when this huge actress, Evelyn Hugo, decides, okay, she wants to tell part of her story, she goes to the magazine and she says, I just want this particular journalist, Monique, who is our main character, to write the story. So basically she goes through a huge roller coaster ride in terms of learning about Evelyn. Basically the arrangement isn't what she thinks it is at all, and it's really a good contemporary book. I have only gotten about to page 43 so far, so I haven't finished it because I've kind of been on a fantasy kick, and you'll see that. But yeah, but so far it is actually really good and interesting, so I'm excited to see where this goes. I've heard so many great things about it. The next book that I picked up is Napoli Married, and this is by Trisha R. Thomas. So when I saw this book, I was like, it's just beautiful. I mean, look at the cover. But I thought that it was like a trilogy because of the way that it was on the shelf, but I think it has like 7 books, and the first book is Napoli Ever After, and it's actually a movie on Netflix starring Sanaa Lathan, and I really wanted to watch it. I actually have the first book in my cart or in my wish list on Amazon, but I never actually bought it. So I was kind of mad when I realized that this is not even the second book in the series, because I was just gonna go on ahead and, you know, get the first one, just read it, then read this one. But no, I have to go through several books before I actually get to this one. But the whole series, I believe, is about a black woman who, well, the first book I know, so let me put this down. Napoli Ever After, the first book is basically about a black woman who, she basically has her hair pressed, and I guess it's really about identity and accepting herself as she is, because she had a live-in boyfriend with her who basically hasn't proposed yet. So she gave him an ultimatum. She did different things. She cut her hair, and it's basically like, you know, a self-discovery journey, and I love books like that, so I definitely want to read that one, and I guess eventually I'll get to this one and the rest of them in the series. Alright, so the next one is Fumbled by Alexa Martin, and this is the last book that I picked up that's actually like realistic fiction. This one I bought on a whim because I read it and I read the back and I was like, oh, this sounds kind of interesting. So basically it's about a single mom who, I guess she's like developing herself and, you know, doing different things like that. And so she used to be with this other guy who they cross paths again, and they basically have to figure out how to make their relationship work, which is, you know, real life. Everybody has to figure out how exactly they're going to make their lives work. But the whole story just sounds interesting because he is a football player, so there's different things that you have to deal with coming with that. So yeah, it just sounds like really fun, fast read, and I'm definitely going to get to this one soon. Alright, so moving on to my fantasy kick that I've been on lately, particularly YA fantasy. This one is called The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Ahdieh. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. But this one, basically, first of all, look at this cover. This is why I guess I really picked this one up, to figure out if I wanted to read it in the first place. So this book is basically, seems like it's set in a really Middle Eastern type of setting, and our main character, she basically wants to seek revenge for the death of her best friend, and her best friend was killed by the current king, the young king of the kingdom, and he basically has this reputation where he's known for marrying these young women and then they end up dead the next morning. So she was determined to go and marry him and go on ahead and kill him for all the deaths, not only for all the deaths that he's for all the murders that they say that he's committed, but rather because her best friend was one of them. But she ends up falling in love, of course, and also trying to figure out why he did what he did. Interesting perspective as well. Our main character, I love our main character, and I love the differences in, oh yeah, I read this already. And I love the differences in the characters and how they have their own personalities and their own kind of dreams and their own, you know, they're just their own person. Like, no character necessarily bleeds into the other. So that's why I really love this book. All right, y'all, so this next book, like, I've been waiting for a year for this book to come out, and it finally did, and I had to go get it, you know, even though it was, you know, not the usual price I pay for books, but I just had to go get it, okay? So this is The Children of Virtue and Vengeance, and it's a sequel to The Children of Blood and Bone, which just about killed me after I read it. But this basically continues the story of The Children of Blood and Bone. The whole series is basically, the thing that I love about it is, first of all, it has a whole cast of black fantasy characters. I mean, particularly in YA though, like, do you even really see books that have full-blown black characters? Like, come on, like, that just about killed me in and of itself. Not only that, but while I was reading the story, I really connected to it because it has a lot of elements of real world issues in it. And when you go to the back of the book, like when you finish reading the book and you see what the author was thinking while she was writing it, you see that there was a lot of real world things that she was interweaving into it because of the pain that she felt as a black woman of things that were happening to young black men and also young black women. So you really feel that when you read this book, when you read this series. I haven't read this one just yet, but I just completely fell in love with the book and the characters, and it is something that you have to pick up. Like, you just have to read it. It's just so good. Alright guys, so the next book that I picked up, I actually got it on Audible, and it was Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I've been trying to read this book for a while because I've heard that it was really good, but I really just could not get past the first chapter. I felt like it was so drawn out. It was just so, you know, I just couldn't get past it. But I went on ahead and I was like, okay, I'm gonna read it, and I decided to get it on Audible instead. And you know, after I decided to continue to read it and listen to it, then I was like, okay, this is actually pretty good. So I finished it and I really did enjoy it. Basically, Throne of Glass is about Selena Sardothien, and she's locked up in one of the worst prisons, or rather just one of the worst camps in the kingdom. Basically, she gets this deal from the prince, and he's like, look, if you come and fight in this tournament, then you can barter for your freedom. So, you know, she goes through that. She meets different people. She also has a mystery to solve along the way, and it's just filled kind of like with wit. And the writing style is great. So I really did enjoy it. It's very action-packed. Though, don't you just love when you're recording and your card gets full? So anyway, I was talking about Crown of Midnight, and I picked this one up, and this is a sequel. There's like 7 books in the series, But this is a sequel to Throne of Glass, and so far I'd say I'm about 60 pages in, and I'm really enjoying it so far. So basically this brings us back, of course, to the end of Throne of Glass after Celaena has her assignment. In this book, she has to figure out how to balance the different relationships that she has. Not only that, but she has to figure out exactly how to bypass the king's desires for her and what he wants her to do. She also has to figure out how to save the kingdom from itself, because there are different powers lurking within it that she still has to battle with. So so far, again, it's good. I'm only about 60 pages in, and it's not very thick, but you know, it's a pretty substantial read. So I'm definitely excited to get through this and get to the next one. The next fantasy book that I picked up is called Scythe by Neil Schusterman, and I've been hearing so many great things about this book, which is why I decided to pick it up. Really so many great things about the series because the last book just came out. But basically, from my understanding, this book is about a world where there's basically no death, because there's been cures to different things that typically kill people. The only way that you die is by the hand of scythes, who go on and they carry out the jobs of killing people. So we have these two protagonists who are our main characters, and they're going through the scythes training. And of course, basically there's a whole journey attached to them learning how to do this. Crazy twists, crazy turns. So I'm excited to read it, and I'll definitely let you know how it is once I'm done. Alright guys, so the very last book I'm going to talk about is Catch and Kill by Ronan Farrow. Well, Catch and Kill: Lies, Spies, and a Conspiracy to Protect Predators. I listened to this book on Audible, and I absolutely loved it. It was a great book. But just for the purposes of this haul, basically this book is about a journalist, Ronan Farrow, who went after the Harvey Weinstein story, initially for NBC, and he faced a whole lot of basically pushback on the story, and it was him uncovering how deep the industry is in with Harvey Weinstein. Not only that, but just his journey towards publishing this article and getting these different women to speak on the record, and also uncovering just how deep different media industries are in this particular topic. He also touches on Donald Trump and his history with sexual assault and these claims and things of that nature. So it was definitely an amazing book to read. I mean, it was definitely very, very good. It's a dense book. I seen it in Barnes & Noble, and it is a thick book. It took me, I'd say, maybe about a few weeks, just because I was reading this, well, listening to this and also reading other books. But it definitely was a great book. Alright guys, so those are just some of the books that I picked up over the past, I'd say, month or 2 months, and I'm definitely excited to get to them. Thank you so much for watching this video. Of course, you can follow me on Instagram at NayaA. You can also check out my blog. It's the same thing, NayaA, where I write about books, I write about writing, and I talk about self-development, and I talk about journalism. So if you enjoyed this video and if you'd like to see more from me, definitely subscribe, like, and comment some of the books that you've been reading. Some of the books that you read last month in December, or that you're looking forward to reading in January. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.